Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. It's Hasan here, Vancouver real estate agent. In today's video, I'm going to discuss what I believe is going to happen to the real estate market this coming year, 2022. As I film this, it's the beginning of January. In order to go over what's going to happen in the future, what I believe is going to happen in the future with the real estate market, we will quickly cover what has happened over the last year in terms of sales and sales prices, both in Metro Vancouver and the Fraser Valley. And then we'll go into where I believe prices and sales quantities are going to go for 2022. So to start off, we're going to look at what happened over the last year. For both Metro Vancouver and the Fraser Valley, sales were up incredibly. For Metro Vancouver, the quantity was up about 40% year over year. For the Fraser Valley, they had their record year. So the most amount of sales that they've had on record. The last time they hit a record was 2016. They surpassed that by about 15%. Really, I know what you and I both care about are sales prices and not quantities. So from a pricing standpoint, Metro Vancouver year over year for 2021, townhomes and detached homes, they tend to lead the way. They did last year as well. They were up about 22% on average. Condos were up about 13% in Metro Vancouver. When we look at pricing for the Fraser Valley had an even stronger year in terms of appreciation. Detached home prices were up around 28%. I believe townhomes are up about 23%, and condos were up about 17% in terms of sales pricing. Now, needless to say, those are quite staggering numbers when you think about the period of time and you think about what we are going through on a global level, but also locally with the pandemic. So now that we know that, yes, during this pandemic, we still had record amount of sales in the last year, let's talk about some of the things that are going to take place in 2022 and what that might mean for real estate prices. So the first thing that I've talked about a lot on this channel is inventory levels. What I can say today is, jumping out of the gate, we are starting out the year at a 30-year low for sales inventory. And as we've talked about before on this channel as well, sales prices are based on supply and demand. It's like any other product or consumer good out there. The less you have of something, the more it's going to be worth, the more it's going to cost. Just look at NFTs. If you're familiar with NFTs, a lot of these are exclusive groups where there's only 10, 20, 30, 40 of these NFTs, and solely because of that, for the most part, they hold a specific amount of value. So again, we're starting off the year at a 30-year low. Obviously, this is going to impact prices. Typically, as we head into spring, we do see more listings hit the market, and I do believe that's going to be the case this year as well. I'm just not certain that it's going to have we're going to see the quantity of listings as we normally do. Now, a lot of people that are considering listings, depending on their situation, a big concern of theirs is what is going to be their next step? Where are they going to move to? How are they going to find another product or another property? So one of the things that we're doing as real estate agents, we're brainstorming different ways that we can assist people getting into new properties and sell at the same time. This year is going to be a year where agents are going to have to be really creative on how we can move people from property to property to help them reach their goals. But having said that, again, I don't see inventory spiking even as we head into spring, which tends to be the busiest time of year for real estate. Now, another thing that's been talked about quite a bit are interest rates. And we know that interest rates, they've already been increasing and they're going to increase further as we head throughout the year. Now, one thing for us all to be cognizant of is with interest rates and mortgage rates specifically, these are often locked in for buyers for a 3-month period. So as the rates are rising, buyer clients are locking in their rates. And in fact, what it does is it creates a higher sense of urgency for the buyers to make a real estate move within a specific period of time. So if we look at Q1, January, February, March of this year, I personally think buyer demand is going to be higher than it's ever been. I know just last night there was a home that was sold without the buyer even seeing the property. They wrote an offer $600,000 more than its asking price. I believe it was asking about $2 million, and the offer came in, offer on the doorstep, 2.6. So the reason I bring this up is there's a desperation amongst buyers. And interest rates rising, that's just going to be one key that's going to actually increase buyer demand, definitely in the short term. Now, what usually happens when interest rates rise, I could say always happens, is people's buying power will decrease. So that's why there's this heightened frenzy to make sure that purchases are happening in this quarter especially, and it'll happen into Q2 as well, because if they're not able to achieve those timelines, then the buyers are actually, their borrowing power decreases, and now they're looking at a different type of property to move forward on. So again, inventory 30-year low right now, buyer demand continues to increase. I think definitely in Q1, we're going to see prices continue to go up. Now, I can't do this video without talking about some of the policies and implementations that the federal government will bring to the table this year. They've talked about a cooling off period, which would be a rescission period, if you will, where you can walk away from any offer for whatever reason you like. Removing blind bidding as well. Right now, there are a lot of bidding wars, and you don't know what the next best offer is. You blindly put in an offer and you hope you get the highest price, and this does tend to escalate prices. I don't think anything that the government has talked about yet is going to affect buyer demand. There's really only one thing that's going to solve the supply and demand equation, and it is increased supply into the market. The issue is supply doesn't take place overnight. It doesn't happen overnight. I think the way it is right now, we would need to see at least twice as many more listings to start getting us closer to what we would call a balanced market. Right now, we're in a seller's market, and we have been for some time. So again, federal government, they are going to have some implementations coming, and I expect that we're going to actually hear more ideas from them in terms of what they want to implement. So that's a bit of an X factor. Having said that, it will not take away from buyer demand. There'll always be a buyer or two or three or 10 that want to offer on a property, and they feel that desperate need to get into that property. So we've talked about supply and demand. We've talked about what the federal government is going to do implementation-wise and how that's a bit of a gray area in terms of the ideas they may bring to the market. But the other thing that Trudeau and the Liberals are doing is they have increased their immigration targets. I know last quarter we had one of the largest quarters of immigration into Canada. And obviously, when we have immigrants come to Canada, that puts pressure on the real estate market, whether they're coming here and renting or coming here and purchasing. So we should expect that buyer demand, I hate to say it, is only going to increase into this year. Now, when we talked about interest rates and what happens when interest rates go up and how buying power decreases, I personally think that we're going to start seeing more appreciation now in the condo segment for this year specifically. I know working with my clients, there's a lot of clients that think, if they don't purchase this year, they may never purchase a property. And a lot of expectations in terms of the type of property they want to purchase, whether it's a townhome or a detached home, that's shifting now. People are going to be looking at the condo space. I think that entry-level product is going to continue rising in price. So my personal opinion is we're going to see larger price gains, not as much as townhomes and detached homes, because that almost never happens, but we will see larger price gains in the condo segment. Overall, when I look at the year and where I think we're going to end up at the end of the year, based on what we know today, definitely I see double-digit sales pricing growth, both in the Fraser Valley and Metro Vancouver, regardless of the product type. I don't necessarily think it's going to be in the 20-30% range like we've seen over the last year. I don't see that happening, but definitely double digits, probably in the 10 to 15% range if I were to take a guess. Now, none of us have a crystal ball. None of us know exactly what's going to happen, but we can look at these factors in the market and we can make an educated guess in terms of what might happen with real estate prices. So guys, I hope you learned something in this video. If you did, it would be great if you could subscribe to the channel and like the video. What that does is it sends it out to more people so they can learn from it as well. If you're in the Lower Mainland and you're looking to buy or sell real estate, or you want to talk real estate with somebody, all of my contact information is in the description box below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Happy New Year and have a wonderful day.